Ten o'clock, call this meeting of the Lackawanna County Commissioners to order. And if you would stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Today's pledge is being offered to us today by Sergeant Branson Cass, who served for 10 years with the 328th Brigade Support Battalion of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. He was deployed to Iraq in 2008 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Mr. Bronson served as a transportation specialist with the 56th Brigade Combat Team Stryker, where he planned and oversaw supply route missions in support of theater combat operations. His awards include the Iraqi Combat Medal, the Combat Action Badge, the Global War on Terror Medal, the Army Commendation Medal. Mr. Bronson currently leads outreach and recruiting for military and veteran services at Marywood University. While Marywood previously had a program related to veterans, it was not focused on outreach or growth. Since stepping into his role, Mr. Bronson has prioritized building relationships and rebuilding that program from the ground up to better serve veterans and to better serve the community. He is here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and will brief us on the very first military service fair that's going to be held at Marywood University this coming Friday. Mr. Bronson, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you for having me. I just take a minute here. So I am from Marywood University, and this Friday we are having our first ever Veteran Services Fair. It is from 9 to 11 in the Fireplace Lounge, and then we have a guest speaker. It is Brigadier General P.A. Keith Graham, the Executive Director for Veterans Programs and Services. He is going to be talking about navigating the transition from military to civilian life, and specifically we're going to be covering the challenges veterans face during this time, from mental health, housing, education, how the program supports fellow veterans, and why it's important to connect early with the available resources, and how the community supports them.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
If you could indulge us for just a moment, Mr. Bronson, would you join us up here for a quick picture? Mr. Bronson might want to get back up to Marywood University, and if rather than have him waiting through the meeting, if you could, we're going to take a quick picture with Mr. Bronson.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Before we start the meeting or get into our public comment and reading of the minutes and our procedures, just want to make clear to people that might not be aware, that might have misunderstood by some posts that have been made by people on social media that were not correct. We're not, it's misinformation, I think we might call it, about what's included on our agenda today. We discussed a proposal for a Protect Our Neighbors ordinance during a recent work session and brought it up in our last meeting and agreed to consider this and debate this and consider whether or not it's going to be adopted by the commissioners. It is currently being studied by our law department, and it's not up for proposal right now because it is still being studied. And I hope that we'll have information that we need in which we can make a judgment on the proposed ordinance or modify the way it's written. But we aren't going to make that decision until we have the information that we need to make a fair and educated decision. I personally have been reaching out to multiple sources for information. I reached out to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. They got back to us rather quickly with a rather succinct response that they, in effect, that they don't offer advice on anything to a municipality in something like this. I also reached out to our DA. I reached out to the Pennsylvania County Commissioners Association, and they, in turn, we reached out to counties across the Commonwealth for what they are doing or not doing regarding this. So far, we have information on 4 different counties, and I believe that was Allegheny County and Philadelphia County. They adopted an ordinance similar to what we are discussing here, and 2 other counties, Harrisburg and Reading, and they're considering those ordinances. We still haven't heard from a lot of other counties. I reached out to Luzerne County and talked with them about their position on it. They have concerns regarding this because one of their primary concerns is that the county has no jurisdiction over municipal police departments. Also I reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office, haven't heard from them, but in retrospect, I'm not going to reach out to them again. There are 3 different individuals that I work with in Harrisburg that are now county officials in other counties across the Commonwealth. I haven't heard back from them. So we are considering this in a very serious way. It's not being taken lightly. We want to have all the information that is necessary to make a proper and appropriate decision. And I hope that at our next meeting, March 4th, we'll be able to report back to you with what we are going to do, whether we're going to adopt one, modify one, or not adopt one. But we aren't going to make a decision until we have all the information that we need to make an appropriate and educated decision. So those of you that are here to speak on that one way or the other, it is on hold and will be on hold until we get the information that we need. Have a motion to approve the reading of the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. An opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items only. And keep in mind, the ordinance is not on the agenda. Hearing none, moving to Resolution 260051.
These certificates.
Oh, I'm sorry, the certificates, and this is something that is very important. I see you all here. We do have the certificates of recognition that your commissioners and an entire county want to present to people that were involved in that horrific fire up at Lehigh Hospital in Dixon City, and all of the people that were involved in it, and they include the Dixon City Police Department. In honor of your service and dedication in keeping the residents of Lackawanna County safe during the devastating fire event at Lehigh Valley Hospital in Dixon City, Lackawanna County 911 dispatchers, in honor of your service and dedication in keeping the residents of Lackawanna County safe during the devastating fire event at Lehigh Hospital in Dixon City, the Dixon City Fire Department, just incredible service and dedication in keeping the residents of Lackawanna County safe during the devastating fire event at Lehigh Valley Hospital. And Pennsylvania Ambulance, service and dedication in keeping the residents of Lackawanna County safe during the devastating fire event at Lehigh Valley Hospital in Dixon City, and all of the people that stepped up, the staff, the volunteers, and all of the rescue workers, our EMA department. I think not only all of us are in awe of what went down that day, but all across the Commonwealth, all across the country, I know that people are speaking of it, where you have a situation where a fire that came up that quickly, and with a hospital with 77 patients, many of them in serious condition, were evacuated so quickly and so efficiently. And the staff at Lehigh Valley Hospital, from the medical staff to the maintenance staff and the people, the office staff that came in and got all of these people out at 10:30 at night, and not a single injury, not a single negative incident. Everybody was treated properly and was rescued in just an incredibly efficient manner and safe manner. And I can tell you that our commissioners and perhaps Commissioner Gahan or Commissioner Chermak would like to add to that.
Yeah, definitely. As a first responder, we train for things constantly, for things that you hope will never happen. And when things happen like this, until it's over, you have no idea how good you did or how you were gonna do. But I can tell you, from the minute the first phone call went out, obviously it goes to our dispatch center, our 911 dispatchers. That was a serious emergency. You have a hospital on fire with patients and staff. So from that moment on, and looking back at how everything went, and with the responses from the local fire departments, the local police departments, all the first responders, the state police, our EMA people reached out and have the Colts buses show up for warming stations because it was bitterly cold that night. But just how everything worked, and again, you never know how your system is going to work and the plans that you put in place. Until you do it, it's something you train for. But our folks from 911 all the way through the first responders did a phenomenal job. Like Tom said, there was no injuries, everything went as smooth as possible. So my hat's off to everyone that cooperated, and everybody that responded. Was just an excellent job. I hope we never have to do it again, but we know that when something happens and there's an emergency, that our folks all pull together and do a great job. I couldn't say enough how proud I am of everyone here, but thank you, and just keep up the good work.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. Tremendous job. And when we think about our first responders, you all are truly angels on earth. A lot of people forget that you're there until they need you. And we needed you on that night, and you showed up and showed us what you're all about. And we can't thank you enough for all of your hard work and your dedication. And want to specifically thank Tom Taylor, our emergency management coordinator, and Al Carney, our 911 director, who did a tremendous job with others in coordinating the effort. So thank you.
Thank you. And also, if you would indulge us one more time, we'd like to take a picture with all of our EMS and first responders and Al and Tom real quick, and let them get back to work as well. Also, it was pointed out too that reminder how cold it was then. Just thank you.
Okay, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Mr. Taylor?
Commissioners, I just want to say thank you for acknowledging the first responders. Like you guys said, without them, a lot of them are volunteers. They do it for free. It's what they love to do, and when the pager goes off or that call comes in, they do what they need to do, and the thousands and thousands of hours that we train for, it came to fruition. I want to call out Bruce from Penn Ambulance. He orchestrated what I would probably say a once-in-a-lifetime evacuation and triage of 77 patients that were all transported to area hospitals as far as Pocono, Bruce? All the way to Pocono, all the way to Hazleton. We had Chester County EMS come up. They brought an ambulance up. So my hat's off to Bruce for orchestrating that, because it's not an easy job. And the Dixon City Police Department, under the leadership of Chief Belinsky, Officer Gallagher, he's not with us today, but he orchestrated the initial evacuation of all the patients with the hospital staff. So, and then our 911 dispatchers, kudos to them for hanging in there and taking all those phone calls and radios transmissions. But thank you for acknowledging that, and thank you to the first responders.
Thank you. Mr. Carney?
I'd like to echo, again, the same sentiments. Chase Belinsky, one of the Dixon City firemen, was one of the first persons. He's a 911 dispatcher. He took the call, worked the beginning part of the call, and then 45 minutes or about an hour later, he responded to the fire and then worked as a fireman throughout the rest of the night for the next 4 or 5 hours. So, but not just him, all our 911 dispatchers, they were willing to stay over. They were willing to do whatever it needed to make sure everybody was safe. We had one who called in, heard there was a fire, and said, "Do you need help? I'll come in." When he came in, he was only needed for maybe 45 minutes, but he was willing to drive in and help. So kudos definitely to police, fire, state police, you name it. There were Colts. We can't forget Colts. We called them, and they were faster than we could ever imagine. And we found out, I didn't know this, but they volunteer their time, to come out and respond to emergencies. And they work with this. We do a couple events a year, or about one event a year. And they come up and they support us in every which way. So we appreciate your support and the community support.
Thank you.
And did you have, it was around 30 units responding from 5 different counties?
There were 30 ambulances, let alone, 40 ambulance. 40 ambulance, and then there were probably a dozen fire departments involved, so it's
Incredible.
25 state troopers, and then local law enforcement.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Resolution 26-0051.
It's approving the current payables. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the following payables. Lackawanna County's general fund numbers 396-589-397-182 inclusive, totaling $2,926,891.48. The county's electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $9,724,051.75. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, Lackawanna County, held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve Resolution 00260051.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved. Resolution 26-0043.
It's approving the juvenile probation grant. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the Juvenile Court Judges Commission Grant fiscal year 25 through 26 for the Department of Juvenile Probation in the amount of $247,306. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is Juvenile Probation's Chief Probation Officer, Ms. Melissa Pavlovsky.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Since July 2013, the Lackawanna County Juvenile Probation Department has participated in the Juvenile Court Judges Commission Service Grant. This grant assists our department with the implementation and development of the Juvenile Justice System Enhancement Strategy. This is a statewide approach to develop a unified level of service for youthful offenders and build stronger relationships with families, schools, and community-based providers. This innovative approach helps reduce recidivism and uses evidence-based practices when treating juveniles while protecting the community. These strategies have been utilized for the past several years and will continue to improve delivery of services at no additional expense to our department or the county. The grant is in the amount of $247,306.
Of motion to approve 26-0043.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Resolution 26-0044.
Entering into an intergovernmental cooperative agreement. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby enter into an intergovernmental cooperative agreement with Elizabeth Mundley, Esquire, and the Domestic Relations Section of the Court of Common Pleas. The agreement is to take effect February 2nd, 2026 through September 30th, 2030. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is the Director of Domestic Relations, Ms. Kathy Hardaway.
Good morning.
Good morning.
At this time, I'm requesting approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Lackawanna County Court of Common Pleas for the services of a hearing officer. This is not a new position, but a replacement due to the resignation of the former hearing officer. The role of the hearing officer is to adjudicate support orders established by domestic relations officers. The salary for this position is approved by the Salary Board and included in the court's annual budget. Under this agreement, the Domestic Relations Office will submit a monthly statement of expenditure to the Bureau of Child Support Enforcement, and the court will be reimbursed for the percentage of services rendered at the rate of 66% for both salary and health care expenditures. This position is required under the cooperative agreement signed by the President Judge, County Commissioners, and the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution 26-0044?
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Motion
you.
approved.
Thank you.
Resolution 26-0045.
This is adopting the procurement card policy and agreement. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby adopt the Lackawanna County procurement card program policy and does hereby enter into a contract with PNC Commercial Card Program Agreement. Adopted a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Dave Bolzoni.
Good morning, Commissioners. The introduction of this program, which is really a partial advancement into a more electronic payment realm, is the first part of two phases in injecting greater efficiencies into our payables process. The second phase is automating the accounts payable process using a much greater frequency of electronic payments. That's to come in the future. The procurement card is a specialized credit card program which will be conducted with PNC Bank, and the agreement you have is from PNC. This program has been discussed within the county actually dating back to 2012, with various iterations surfacing every so many years. In 2025, Lackawanna County issued in excess of 8,000 checks in amounts less than $1,000. Not that we plan to migrate this entire subset to the card program, but for incidentals and many one-time small dollar payments, there are costs which would certainly be eligible for the program. Costs associated with bank account activity, postage costs, internal costs that go along with the process add up to what amounts to an inefficient process overall. The Revenue and Finance Department will be working closely in conjunction with the Controller's Office, which was very helpful in constructing and advancing the program and in implementing it. I will like to acknowledge the assistance of Reggie Mariani. I thoroughly enjoy debating him every opportunity I have, principally because he has a brilliant financial mind. Our plan is to begin with several departments and make some refinements as we proceed. The card program is very restrictive, and any participating departments will have training requirements for its use. There is no cost for this program, and it is recommended that the Commissioners approve the resolution.
Do we have a motion to approve 260045?
Motion.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, thank you for bringing us into the 21st century here. It's a great program. I think it's a long time coming, and as you had stated, Mr. Bolzoni, it'll make us much more efficient. So, thank you.
Commissioners, if I may, I'd like to take a moment and commend the three commissioners for the willingness to table this issue until I was able to ensure that the Controller's Office would be able to audit and approve every charge from the new procurement program before payment. And we were able to do that, so thank you. I'd like to acknowledge our CFO, Dave Bolzoni, for a great job putting this program together, working with our office. And not only is he a great CFO, but he's probably the most honest person I know. So great job, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Resolution 26-0050.
This is entering into a natural gas agreement. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby enter into a master natural gas sales agreement with UGI Energy Services for the county courthouse and prison. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, once again, here is Mr. Bolzoni.
Several comments, Commissioners. UGI Energy Services is the brokerage arm of UGI Corporation. The Energy Services Division is the county's broker for natural gas services. The relationship really pertains, at least at this point, to two accounts with a total budget of $160,000. The county's total budget for natural gas is $263,700. This process compares with that completed for the electric supplier with a budget which has much less net exposure than was the case with electricity costs, which was $1.3 million. The contract with UGI Energy Services allows for a negotiated extension, which is what we're doing. Given that the price of natural gas has ranged in the $3 per decatherm range, and the resulting difference in our review of electricity suppliers amounted to a cost difference of 0.38 of a cent, I would say given the lower amount of natural gas usage and the cost differential on the electricity requests, we received two bids. The pricing was very close. It's more cost effective to negotiate the rate going forward with UGI. And UGI is the principal natural gas supplier in all of eastern Pennsylvania. Now, I would like to comment on the process. As a broker of natural gas supplies, the contract may be awarded as a professional service. Utility brokerage services may be considered professional services in local government procurement if they require specialized knowledge, intellectual expertise, and consulting skills rather than mere labor, all of which qualify for this agreement. Brokers act as specialized agents, providing expert analysis, market evaluations, and negotiation services for energy procurement, distinguishing them from just standard suppliers. It's the use of the equivalent of what I'd call call options. It's a very complicated process of purchasing natural gas, which has resulted in favorable cost structures for the county and which qualifies this brokerage retention as a professional service. I'd recommend approval of the 5-year contract with UGI Energy Services.
Motion to approve Resolution 26-0050.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution adopted. Resolution 26-0054.
This is entering into a Ninth Amendment to the concert concession agreement. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County has hereby entered into a Ninth Amendment to concert concession agreement by and between Lackawanna County, the Lackawanna County Performing Arts Center Authority, and Live Nation. The term of the agreement is hereby extended 1 year with the new expiration date shall be December 31st, 2026. Adopted regularly meeting. The Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Commissioners, This is a one-year extension with the contract between the authority and Live Nation and us. It also provides us to have a serious discussion about finally rehabbing the entire area up there at the amphitheater, dealing with parking problems and the traffic problems. So we will be diving straight into a full look at rehabbing the amphitheater in the very near future.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 26-0054.
Motion.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, I am going to be voting in favor of this agreement for several reasons. This is something that we have been working towards since I took office in 2024. And there are issues up on Montage Mountain as it relates to the amphitheater. I don't need to tell anybody in this room who's ever been up there for a concert that traffic is a major issue. Parking is an issue. Those two things, we have been in discussions with Live Nation and with other individuals on how we can address those and how we can mitigate the disaster that occurred with the last concert this past summer. As the Chief of Staff mentioned, one of the other reasons I'm supporting this is because this is going to lead into a discussion about a long-term agreement, which I think both parties have wanted for a long time, a 10 to 15-year agreement, which I know they had a long time ago. This also points to the fact that we do need to bring the amphitheater into the 21st century. There needs to be major league renovations. There's a lot of issues up there, but one of them is, very simply put, the backstage area. When some of the acts come in, they don't want to go there because it's like something out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They bring their families with them and they want to hang out, and it's just not conducive to that. So we've been talking for the last year and a half, 2 years, about plans to really make it a first-class entertainment venue. Overall, the amphitheater, although there are issues, has a huge economic impact for Lackawanna County. Live Nation is the biggest player in terms of concert promoters in North America, and I think we're very lucky to have them, and so far they've been a pretty good partner with us. We are also lucky in terms of a county of our size to have an amphitheater, a baseball stadium, and a ski resort all in one geographic area. And, you know, we have to thank former Commissioners Joe Corcoran and Ray Alberigi for having the foresight to push those projects through. This agreement is a crucial first step, though, to making much-needed improvements up there. And I think when people see the plans and when it's all comes together, I think you'll be very pleased with it. Thank you.
I agree. Just to add to that, my position on it is what Commissioner Gahan stated is absolutely true. We need to bring ourselves into we're like in the 80s and 90s with a facility that's up there, and that has to be changed. But one of the things that also has to be changed, and if it isn't, I couldn't support this for any renewal, and that is the relief of the traffic congestion. It is just unacceptable that it takes 2 hours at times to get up to see a concert and 2 hours to get out of there. And the other thing to me that is particularly unacceptable, and it's brought to light with what happened in Dixon City just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and that is you can have the 3 lanes of traffic totally blocking that road. If there were a disaster, anything to occur up on top of that mountain, we couldn't get the people out of there other than a helicopter. That is absolutely unacceptable. We cannot put ourselves in a position to have something like that happen. So going forward, you can count on the commissioners working very, very hard with all the parties that can change that. And that includes perhaps some state and federal money to change that. But for me, goal number one is to change that traffic issue that can be a tragedy issue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved. Resolution 26-0047.
This is awarding the arts and cultural operational grants. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby award the 2026 Lackawanna County Arts and Cultural Operation Grants in the amount of $265,000 to 41 organizations as per attached. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is our Director of Arts and Culture, Ms. Maureen McGuigan.
Morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioners. So this is our annual grant program we do every year for operational grants, which are nonprofits or municipalities that are established so they can apply for more funding than our project grants. All of these are vetted internally and externally by a panel and recommended for funding amounts. So that's what we're adopting today. And I'm wearing green, so one of the ones we fund is the parade day coming up. I probably don't need to give that one a plug, but just to give you an idea of the type, there's tons of things going on in this great county we live in. So keep your eyes open for more announcements on what's going on.
I think the green is also for a go on the resolution, huh? If a motion to approve Resolution 26-0047
Motion.
Second.
on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved. Resolution 26-0048.
It's the award in the Arts and Cultural Project Grants. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby award the 2026 Lackawanna County Community Arts and Cultural Program Grants in the amount of $100,000 as attached here too. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, once again, here's Director McGuigan.
So these are our project grants, which I really like this because anybody can apply. They're for individuals, municipalities, nonprofits, schools. So if there's anybody in the audience or watching at home that would like to apply, you can talk to us. But every year it's grown, and we have some really great projects. It goes through the same process. They're reviewed internally and externally by a panel. And so we just have a great list, which we'll be promoting throughout the rest of the year.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 26-0048
Motion.
Second.
on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved. Now Resolution 26-0052.
So entering into a mural joint venture agreement. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby enter into a mural joint venture agreement with Scranton Tomorrow Incorporated for the development and or curation of the public art mural to be installed on the south wall of a building located at 307 Penn Avenue in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, once again, here is Director McGuigan.
In recent years, we've had the great opportunity to enhance all the great revitalization that's been going on in Scranton. So part of that is public art, and this is the latest one that is celebrating a part of our history that I still think the story needs to be told about vaudeville. If you could play Scranton, you could play anywhere. So we're excited about this. It's a very detailed architectural mural that shows buildings in Scranton as well as performers who have played here, and it'll be on the beautiful block of Penn Avenue there, but also near where a lot of our theaters were too.
We have a motion to approve
Motion.
Second.
on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Motion 26-0053.
This is entering into a mural artist agreement. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby entering into a mural artist agreement with Scranton Tomorrow and Jonathan S. Ladacker.
This is
For work-
broken into two separate pieces.
I'm sorry, I just gave my big speech too.
Right, right. Then you don't have to say anything when this is over. For Mr. Jonathan S. Ladacker for work performed relative to the mural that will be located at the 307 Penn Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania, beginning on March 1st, 2026 through October 1st, 2026, at a cost of $72,500. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, here to speak or not speak about it is Director McGuigan.
Well, you know, we do our due diligence at least. There's a lot of contracts in mural work. So yeah, exactly. This is actually with the artist. The other one was a partnership agreement because we work on this with Scranton Tomorrow. So
Motion to approve
Motion.
Second.
on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Resolution 26-0046.
That's the appointments to the Multi-Purpose Stadium Improvement Boards. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County on March 12, 2014 established an improvements board, and whereas pursuant to Section 8-02C1 of the Multi-Purpose Stadium Lease Agreement by and between the Multi-Purpose Stadium Authority of Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania and SBW Yankees LLC, the parties must establish a board of directors defined in the lease agreement as the Improvements Board for the purpose of maintaining the Capital Improvements Fund and overseeing the use of these funds available in the Capital Improvements Fund for capital improvements, as those terms are defined in the lease agreement. The lease agreement further states that the Improvement Board The Improvements Board shall consist of 2 individuals appointed by the leasee and the 2 individuals appointed by the county. Each individual designated by the county may be removed and replaced by the county at any time. Any capital improvement for which the Improvement Board authorizes the use of funds for the Capital Improvements Fund shall be a authorized capital improvement, as that the term is defined in the lease agreement, and P further resolved that in accordance with Section 802C1 of the lease agreement as aforesaid, the Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners does hereby appoint Solicitor Paul J. Walker and reappoint Minority Solicitor P.J. LaBelle to the Improvement Boards effective immediately. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, Lackawanna County, held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved. Resolution 26-0049.
These are appointments to the Lackawanna County Housing Authority. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby reappoint the following individuals to the Lackawanna County Housing Authority. Attorney Paul Walker of Roaring Brook Township, term effective immediately and to expire December 31st, 2030, and Thomas Barrett of Dunmore, term effective immediately and to expire December 31st, 2029. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on February 18th, 2026. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out that this Attorney Paul Walker is not our Solicitor Paul Walker.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved. Resolution 26-0042.
It's a motion.
Motion to approve?
Which one are we on here? 42?
Yeah.
Do you want to read
Um,
any of that, or? Yep, you have to read the motion.
This is to award Plank Road structure replacement to the most responsible bidder, Minicki Incorporated, 453 Ziegler Street, DuPont, with a total bid of $1,067,000.
Frank is going to speak.
Mr. Suma?
Good morning. This contract award is for the bridge replacement contract for Plank Road Bridge over the Lehigh River in Clifton Township. For those that may not remember, this bridge was actually closed for emergency repairs about approximately 5 years ago and reopened under temporary conditions. So this project will take care of a permanent replacement for this critical crossing. It's the only crossing over the Lehigh River coming from the... Sorry about that. So as I was saying, this project will take care of a permanent replacement for this critical crossing over the Lehigh River. It's the only crossing coming from the I-380 interchange to the state game lands in Clifton Township. We prepared uniform bidding documents and conducted a public bid, upon which 4 bids were received, with the low bidder being Minicki Construction at a price of $1,067,000. Minicki has submitted all required bonding documents, and they have a good work history for bridge construction for Lackawanna County. So we therefore recommend awarding the project to Minicki.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution, motion approved. Now the opportunity for the public to address the board.
Bob Bolas, Scranton. You know, I understand you tabled Gahan's proposal, but I want to take the time to address how dangerous and reckless it is for the minority commissioner, Gahan, to direct Lackawanna County personnel to be uncooperative with ICE. This not only puts citizens at risk for illegal migrant crimes, it encourages misinformed, radicalized citizens to risk their lives by agitating and physically interfering with law enforcement agency, even though the minority commissioner knows better than to do this himself. Why not explain the truth to the people that ICE is a federal enforcement agency authorized by Congress to enforce federal immigration law, and their operations are sanctioned by Congress. So it's dangerous, foolish, and stupid to try and interfere with them. If you remember, Bill Gahan is the same minority commissioner who spoke at the No Kings protest last June. which is ironic since he acts as if he's the king. Bravo to the majority commissioners for muzzling him. If he wants to go out and talk about ICE, let him do it as a private citizen, like he said at the King's rally. He was in there as a commissioner. He was there as a private citizen. Let him stick his neck out and back the illegals that he seems to be in favor of. The reason 2 agitators died in Minneapolis is because the local government there does the same thing Gahan, our minority commissioner, does. They fearmonger already radicalized citizens whose entire worldview is about ICE. The 2 deaths in Minneapolis were agitators who interfered with a sanctioned law enforcement operation. It's unfortunate, and the blame lay squarely with the liberal politicians who misinformed and encouraged bad behavior. But would you ever see Bill Gahan or another liberal politician blocking roadways in front of law enforcement, kicking their headlights out or taillights out? Of course not, because they know better. But they count on you to not knowingly know better and use you to pander to the National Democrat Party. The things you never see are those politicians themselves physically interfering with ICE operation. They know they're a federal enforcement agency created by Congress and authorized to enforce immigration. They just lie to the citizens they're supposed to work for. You just play partisan games and encourage anyone misinformed and radicalized enough to listen to you to go and behave in a way that's likely to get them killed. Be advised that I have formed a relationship with FBI Director Kash Patel, and I'll hold that up here. I have a personal relationship, Gahan, and let me continue. I've offered him the church that you pushed to have sold in the sale with the Lackawanna County Tax Claim Bureau, and you'll get your opportunity to defend that in the federal lawsuit I filed for fraud. I've offered him free and clear that facility for an office and containment, because what I want in the city of Scranton, and the mayor has to understand it as well, we want protection from illegals, pedophiles, criminals, and everyone else that's here illegal in our country. And that's where we're at. I'm glad you got muzzled. It was about time. Thank you.
Any other outbursts, you'll be removed from the room.
Hi, my name is Marty, and I'm here also to address the Welcoming County Ordinance. I'm from this county. I was born here. I grew up in Dalton. I've lived in this county for most of my life. My disabled sister died in this county due to law enforcement negligence. I care a lot about making Scranton a better, safer place for people of all backgrounds. Scranton is fortunate to have a more diverse community than some may realize, and it is also home to many interesting cultural events involving local artists, musicians, and writers. Scranton has a history of immigrant communities going back over 100 years to Irish, Italian, Polish, and German immigrants. The immigrant communities of today continue that tradition. With a history of population loss, our area needs the financial and cultural advantages brought by diverse populations moving here. It makes the area more unique and desirable to future generations of all backgrounds. Furthermore, a lack of protections could allow for a more involved federal invasion into our communities, which could ultimately tear them apart. A protracted conflict between ICE and the community could lead to more violent murders of American citizens by law enforcement. And in an area like ours, allowing ICE to come unimpeded and inflict violence on the community sends the wrong message to the immigrants and young people who are the future of this city and county. The Welcoming County Ordinance shows that our municipal government is invested in de-escalation of conflict and the growth of our city. Our area needs the financial and cultural assets that immigrants provide in order to cultivate higher levels of economic and cultural activity. I don't think our community, which is so fragile in its recovery from the post-industrial economic period, needs government agents forcibly removing productive members of society from it. In Minnesota, various trade organizations have attested to the negative economic effects of increased ICE activity in the state. If we want to develop our city and county into a place that is desirable to live and work, this is one way of giving people of all backgrounds security and a cultural and financial future in the county of Lackawanna. If we allow our communities to be plundered by the federal government, then as has happened in the past, we will lose our cultural and financial activity to nearby major cities like New York and Philadelphia. But if we show that we can act independently and protect our communities, we can continue to cultivate a growing and successful city and county. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize that I won't be able to be here at the March 4th meeting, as I'll be in England at part of a Global Women, Faith, and Climate meeting. So I wanted to read today a statement.
If you would please
from-
identify yourself.
What?
I'm sorry, if you would identify yourself.
Oh,
please.
sorry,
Thank
Rabbi
you. Thank
Daniel
you.
Swartz. So I wanted to read today a notice from the Scranton members of the Scranton Area Ministerium. I'm going to try to produce a miracle this morning and be a clergy member who doesn't take my full 5 minutes. We, the undersigned religious leaders and educators from diverse faith traditions throughout Lackawanna County, express our strong support for our county implementing clear and forthright policies welcoming immigrant and refugee communities to our area. Our traditions, each in their own way, call on us not only to work for societal justice, but also to give special care to the most vulnerable among us. For example, the 5 books of Moses reiterate 36 times how we are to protect and love the foreigner, as in Leviticus 19:33. The foreigner who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love them as yourself. America has always been its strongest and best self when, as a nation, we proclaim, as noted by the poet Emma Lazarus on the Statue of Liberty, "Give me your tired, your poor, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me." Our region, at least from the days of the Lenape, the Muncie, the Shawnee, and the Susquehannocks, has been a place where different peoples have come together. May we in Lackawanna, named for where the streams join, continue to be welcoming, sharing our blessings with all of God's children and creating a little bit of paradise here where the waters meet. Signed by Farouk Abadrabo, Reverend Mark Alexander, Rabbi Marjorie Berman, Rabbi Daniel Bubness, Dr. Daniel Casaci, Elder Richard Fowler, Reverend Dr. Matt Gorkos, Chaplain Kathleen G. Caskell, Dr. Melinda Crocus, Allison LaRusso, Charlotte Ledbetter, Lori Lochney, Elder Deb Morrissey, Reverend Dr. Tyler J. Perry, Shivani Patel, Reverend Jason Schwartzman, Rabbi Daniel Swartz, Deacon Don Talley, Rashid Thomas Muhammad, Dr. Marwan Wafa, Vera Walin, Dr. Philip Yovics, and I'll send a copy of that to you as well. I want to also invite everyone to on Saturday, February 28th, to Temple Hesed for our Purim celebration, which not coincidentally is a story about immigrants trying to be pushed out of a community, but it's a little more fun.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you're coming to the podium, please state your name and the municipality that you live in, clearly so she can write it down. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Balmer, and I live in Moscow, Covington Township. I'm here today to speak in favor of the Protect Our Neighbors Act. In 2009, my husband and I adopted our daughter, Lily May, from Jiangxi, China. We are not leftist lunatics or paid agitators. In fact, we were lifelong Republicans. Last year, we became increasingly uncomfortable with ICE's tactics. People told us we were overreacting. It was not as though ICE was going to be on the streets of Scranton. Yet, on the morning of November 29th, 2025, my daughter and I went to pick up tickets for the Nutcracker Suite at the theater at North. As we were walking to our car, armed men in tactical vests started moving in from all directions and looked to be surrounding a postal worker across the street from us. I thought, my God, they're taking the mailman. I had my daughter lock herself in the car. then took out my phone and started recording. They did not take the mailman. Instead, they moved to the door of the house he was delivering to. They questioned an occupant, searched the house, and left without whomever they were looking for. As they walked away, they noticed me with my phone. They condescendingly waved, took my picture, and videoed me. I can only assume I've now been entered into an enemy of the state / woke leftist database. I do not think I've ever been more afraid in my life. My daughter was unable to speak for 2 hours and later told me she thought they were going to shoot her mom. We had her start carrying pictures of her passport and certificate of citizenship on her phone. But then we started hearing stories of immigrants having their phones taken away by ICE before being able to show proof of citizenship. So we had her start carrying her passport. Then we got word of an adoptee who was detained by ICE while simply walking the street. And what was her crime? ICE agents detained her because, according to them, her appearance did not match her last name. I would like to repeat that. Her appearance did not match her last name. We live in the United States of America. We are a nation of immigrants. My daughter is a beautiful, intelligent, kind, and gentle human being. She is a senior in high school. She is the absolute light and joy in our life. She belongs here. Lily Mae is a senior in high school and should be worried about clothes, makeup, and college applications. She should not be worried about being detained by her own government for not matching her last name. This is not normal. This is not okay. We cannot allow this to be okay. I have written to my representatives and received only dismissive, canned responses. I recently watched a Facebook video of Mr. Gahan. He was introducing the Protect Our Neighbors Act, and I cannot tell you how much it meant to me and to my family to finally have someone acknowledge the fear that our family and countless others are living with right now. We support law enforcement. We have law enforcement in our family. We support immigration laws, but we no longer support ICE. We do not trust ICE to uphold the Constitution. Disappearing people with no due process is fundamentally un-American, and I respectfully ask that you vote in favor of this act. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Julie Schumacher-Cohen, and I'm a resident of Scranton. I've lived here for 16 years. I want to thank the commissioners for your comments at the February 4th meeting and for joining together, all three of you, in supporting consideration of a welcoming policy for Lackawanna County. Like many today, I'm here to follow up on that. I'm here in support of the Protect Our Neighbors Act and in support of it being adopted by Lackawanna County. I'm also here because my life in Scranton has been enriched by my immigrant and refugee neighbors in a region that is shaped and defined by its immigrant heritage. And I'm concerned, as we heard from our other speaker, who spoke so eloquently and personally, about the human and constitutional rights violations we have seen unfolding with the federal policy of indiscriminate mass deportations. I began getting to know local immigrant and refugee communities more than 10 years ago. Some of you may remember a photo that went viral on September 2nd, 2015. It was a little Syrian boy. His name was Aylan Kurdi. He was drowned, lying face down, washed up on a Mediterranean beach. He died because there was no right way for his family to flee their country's civil war. The world was closing its doors to Syrian refugees. This could have been any one of us. Ask ourselves, how would you like to be treated? Some of us carry stories like this in our own families. My grandmother's cousin was sheltered by Italian Catholic nuns to stay safe from the Nazis. In recent weeks, seniors at a Florida Jewish home asked if they could hide their immigrant caregivers in the basement. Many are Holocaust survivors, and the treatment that they're seeing of immigrants and refugees in the United States in 2026 is reminding them of Anne Frank and their own plight in Europe in the 1930s and 1940s. A couple weeks after the photo of little Aylan shocked the world in fall 2015, Pope Francis spoke to the U.S. Congress imploring action around the global migration crisis. Last February, he spoke out again against mass deportations in the United States. He said, and I quote, "What is built on the basis of force and not on the truth about the equal dignity of every human being, it begins badly and it will end badly. He was right. This is ending badly, including with 2 U.S. citizens dead in Minneapolis and countless immigrants terrorized, and we want to prevent that from happening here in Lackawanna County. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis urged against indifference, and Pope Leo has cautioned against a sense of powerlessness. We are not powerless. As community members, we can use our voice, and we can continue to forge bonds of friendship and solidarity with our immigrant neighbors. And you all, as commissioners, as public servants, are definitely not powerless. You have the power to move policies forward that can ensure we abide by the Constitution and we respect the human and civil rights of all residents regardless of their immigration status. Too often today we are being presented with a false choice. Choose either safety or welcome. In fact, immigrants, including those without full legal status, commit crimes at a lower rate than U.S. citizens. And those currently held by ICE, just 14% have been charged or convicted of violent crimes. And yet, with food insecurity, rising housing and medical costs, billions of our U.S. taxpayer dollars are being used to separate families and lock people up across the country, including here in Pennsylvania, who are not a threat to anyone. We do not want Lackawanna County to be a proactive partner in a project that will be looked back upon as a low point in American history. And let's be clear, the kinds of policies under consideration would not deter policing to apprehend people who commit dangerous crimes. They would do the opposite. These policies maintain trust between residents and local law enforcement, and they ensure that federal immigration enforcement actions take place in a lawful manner. As Commissioner Welby and others referenced last meeting, unless you are a descendant of the Lenape people, represented by the beautiful mural downtown, this region is one big and ongoing migration story. Immigrants and refugees are our neighbors. They're students in my son's classroom in the Scranton School District. They're fellow parishioners in my pews at my Catholic church, where the most baptisms are among Hispanic families. They're refugees who have come fleeing war or persecution from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Nepal, Syria, Ukraine, Afghanistan. Some of them have even fought alongside U.S. military. They are the many immigrants who have come from across Latin America. They've started small businesses in this county. They've contributed to the local workforce. They pay taxes. They're revitalizing our neighborhoods. They're hosting health and community fairs. They've planted community gardens, and they've brought new cultural festivals. They're trying to restart their lives, care for their families, just like the earlier immigration waves to Scranton. No matter your background, this region has long been characterized by values of family, faith, hard work, human dignity, the common good, generosity, and a caring and welcoming spirit. I'm here to ask today, will we continue that tradition? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank the commissioners for allowing me this time to share my thoughts. My name is Amber Viola. I currently live in Scranton. I grew up in Gouldsboro, so thank you for the bridge. I run social media and marketing for the Lackawanna County NAACP chapter. Like many other residents, I was moved by Commissioner Gaughan's words calling on us to rise up against out-of-control immigrant agents and also against out-of-control policies, to not stand aside and just let what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota stand. I support a plan for a county-level restrictions on cooperating with immigration and customs enforcement. Our city and surrounding areas have experienced a minor gradual decline in population over the last few years. Scranton is only about 76,000 people. Our fastest demographic is our Latino brothers and sisters. They only make up about 13,000 people here. The question I keep asking myself is, why is ICE even here? With that being said, almost 95% of our population in this area are United States citizens. I am a parent first, I'm a veteran second. I have a daughter who's half Italian, and she looks Latina. There's a quote from Family Guy that I love because it shows how race is a social construct, and by looking at someone, there's no way to tell where they're from. The joke goes, is she Italian or some type of Spanish? I think about that when I look at my daughter. I think about the little kids who are running from ICE after leaving their elementary school a few days ago. If ICE agents came and raided her elementary school, Robert Morris, what would they think she was? A head full of curly hair, they'd think she was Latina. Would they know that she was Italian and black? Probably not. Would they ask questions? Absolutely not. I've seen ICE in Scranton. There's times I've seen them and I've wanted to record and, do my thing, be a veteran, go stand up for what is right, but I have a kid, so I have to put that first. They're not stopping to ask people where they're from. They're going to churches that have served me wonderful Spanish beans and rice and gone over there beating on their doors in their unmarked black SUVs on Main Ave. Lackawanna County and the Scranton area cannot afford to use our hard taxpayer money to work with these immigration agents. That's the federal government's responsibility to fund and enforce immigration policy, not ours. We have already seen how communities have been financially strained by decisions made on the federal level. We need to continue to protect all of Scranton. We are Lackawanna County. We are Scranton. We are Wayne County. We are Gouldsboro. We are Covington. We are all of these places. We are Scranton High. We are West. We are North Pocono. We are Abington. We're all of these things. We are me, you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you for your service, and also your little mini-me is an absolute sweetheart. Congratulations.
Good morning. I'm State Representative Maureen Madden. I represent the 115th Legislative District, and I came here all the way from the Poconos this morning to commend you on the Protect Our Neighbors Act. We have, under the Fourth Amendment, a right to illegal search and seizure, and you can be detained for a little while if there's probable cause, but racial profiling isn't probable cause. And we're standing here talking about Americans who are being snatched off the street. Aliyah Rahman was born in Minnesota. She was on her way to the doctor's office when ICE agents showed her where to drive to. She did exactly that. And then one broke the passenger side of her window, and so the other one yanked her out of the door and threw her on the ground. She was a woman going to the doctor because of a traumatic brain injury, and she was on the spectrum. And this is what happened to her. And we have seized nearly 200 American citizens off the street and asked them to show their papers or prove who they are. I'm married to a Puerto Rican. I'm married to a dark-skinned Puerto Rican who makes his living playing in nursing homes and senior centers all through Monroe, Lackawanna County, even in New Jersey and New York. What happens if they go and raid, right? Let's get all the immigrants who are taking care of the seniors, our most popular, our most vulnerable population. What you are doing is necessary. You are standing up to a rogue government, and I wish that more local governments would do what you're doing, because the only way we get out of this is if we all rise up and we all say, this is not America, this is not democracy, and not one citizen is going to stand for their neighbors being snatched off the street. Now, 2 weeks ago, I asked Rob Bresnahan, well, I tried to, he ran away from him, how he felt about this, and he didn't have an answer for me. So all of you people who have mentioned that you've spoken to your representatives and you've spoken to your senators, go back and press them. Get an answer. We need to know where our government stands in protecting citizens and legal immigrants. And if you're here illegally, then you have to go back home, right? But if you're not, you deserve to be able to walk the streets of Scranton, the streets of Pennsylvania, the streets of America, and not worry about getting snatched up the street and thrown into a big empty warehouse that we seem to be buying up. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Representative.
Good morning, Commissioners. Former Commissioner Lorraine Cummings. Can you hear me back there? Can everybody hear now? I still want to respond to all these people, but that's not why I'm here, because this is a distraction. We all got our tax bills last week. That's why this is a big thing in the news. All you people are at the wrong meeting. You need to go to the prison board meeting at 12:30, where our DA will be there, the judges will be there, the sheriff will be there, and they will tell you that none of these commissioners have any control over what you're talking about. None of them. Sheriff is elected on his own. DA is elected on his own. They don't control their offices. I was at a meeting in June at the prison board and took care of this already. They already said that they would support our ICE. You can go back. I'd play the video, but I don't want to have to waste your time because you don't want to hear me anyway. I know you all have your mind made up. But go look at the June meeting, and the DA and the sheriff will support ICE. They have to. It's the law. And I'm not going to argue the point. What I want to talk about is the fact that I was here back in November and told Commissioner Chermak that he had requested a 6% tax increase over a 33% tax increase. Am I correct, Mr. Commissioner Gahan?
Yes, but the math didn't
Well,
work
okay,
out.
I understand your thinking. However, he had the perfect opportunity to prove that he was right and you were wrong. He sat his chair there for I don't know how many meetings because I was not feeling well, so I couldn't make it in here. And then he is now the vice chair. And Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak had the perfect opportunity to reopen the budget and give us that 6% tax increase as opposed to your 33% tax increase. And it didn't happen. And we got our tax bills last week, and that's what this is all about. I'm sorry to say. But you know what? You guys all own that tax increase now. All three of you. Not just Commissioner Gahan. That's what I have to say. And I don't appreciate it, and I hope you're all voted out of office. Thank you.
But to be clear, it was approved long before I got here, and I had nothing to do with it. Not in 2026, we couldn't.
This year you could. Yes, you could have.
No, we couldn't.
Yes, you could have. Just like Commissioner Chermak did back when he was elected, but he raised taxes.
Chairman Welby, just so I know you understand, but so the speaker understands, that budget was passed in 2024 for the year 2025.
I don't know how I do the time travel, but be as it may.
This is all distractions. They don't want to talk about how much you raised their taxes.
That's enough.
Okay. Len Dobson from Peckville, Pennsylvania.
Look, hold on, please. No one in here wants to have anyone removed. Please stay in order.
Thank you. I'm not here to talk about the taxes, but as a matter of course here, I worked with Mr. Chermak, and we worked on the budget. And actually, these guys hired someone that they paid over $15,000 for to come and look at the budget. These guys would not even take the time and sit down with us, even though the people from that budget committee that he hired said that they should have a look-see and see what we were about. We never got anything to say. We were not even heard. They just laughed at us. And that man up there went like that at me at the end of a meeting, like, you know, real mature. But anyway, that's a different subject. I'm here to talk about the same thing, the immigration. I hear people up here, and I agree with immigrants, you know. Immigrants should be allowed to stay here. I really believe in that. But let's define an immigrant and an illegal alien, because they are not synonymous. You cannot put them together. Okay, an immigrant, yes, he has the right to the Fourth Amendment. He went through the process. He said, hey, I want to be a citizen. Give me my green card or whatever, my working papers. And he stayed in line, and he did everything he's supposed to. The other guy snuck over the border, and he came here illegal. Now, with that border crossing, there were a lot of people that came over here that were very ugly people, pedophiles. There were murderers. Now, Maduro, okay, under the Maduro regime, they kept their people in prison. And what they did, guys, and you need to know this and understand the difference here. They used to let them out of prison every time the people got out of line in Venezuela. They'd hand them machine guns and everything else, and they would take care of the people. Then they'd go back to prison. They were allowed conjugal visits. These people got so dangerous that Maduro was afraid of them himself. You know what he did? Sent them to US of A. And they're all here. And they're pedophiles in California. Now, you won't hear this on the press. You have to go to other sources and do your own homework. 2,000 children were picked up out of California that were in child trafficking sources. You won't hear that. They picked them up in Arizona. They picked them up in New York. We don't know what's here, okay? So you need to get that straight. These ICE people are not going after immigrants. They are going after very ugly people, rapists that can break into your house and rape your child. Oh, yeah, they are. And pedophiles, there's a whole pedophilia area that's going on in this country that nobody knows about. 300, whoa.
We'll clear the room. We'll clear the entire room
children
if it's necessary. Sir, excuse me. You'll address the board, not the people here. And also, if you would, I know it's difficult sometimes, but please, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with someone's comments, please let them have their say. Please.
Thank you. 300,000 children, as we were told, have disappeared in the last 4 years. We don't know where they are in this country, and they're busy finding them. Now, before you yap your mouth off, this is a beautiful book. It just came out. It's called The Invisible Coup. And it talks about one of the things that they're trying to do to destroy America is that they are bringing these immigrants in, but not just immigrants, illegal aliens. They're coming in here. They have drug system. They have the cartels are coming in here. 2 of the different cartels are sending people in here, and that's what we're up against. Guys, how would you like you to take your kid to school one day and all of a sudden they disappear? I don't want to worry about when I leave my house that they're going to break in and rape my wife. I don't want that. So before you go on with what's legal and what isn't, I want to read something real quick that FAIR put out. It said the Supreme Court has long recognized Congress's plenary power over the immigration, meaning federal law exclusively governs entry, removal, and naturalization. State law that conflict with federal law and the authority generally is preempted. That's what FAIR had found out. And in the process, they found out that the expenses were way over what we can afford in this country. God bless you all.
Thank you. Please.
Hello, my name is Michael Nicotera, and I'm a student here at the University of Scranton. I do actually have class to run to, so I'm going to make this brief. I know that was a tough act to follow, but I appreciate the dignified and civil comments of the previous gentleman. At any rate, he did make one point that I agree with, which is that we do, in fact, have a Fourth Amendment, and that Congress oversees the immigration process. However, anything passed by Congress still has to abide by the Constitution of the United States and by the Fourth Amendment. And I'm trying to speak, in favor of the welcoming agreement and in favor of the Protect Your Neighbors Act. I'd like to commend the Board of Commissioners for bringing this up. And I just want to say I think we've seen a lot of vitriol against some of the most vulnerable members of our community, and even against members of the community, immigrants who did come here the right way and who did come here through all the legal channels who are still being victimized. We've seen ICE terrorizing people in our streets, in their homes, and regardless of documentation status, all persons in this country are afforded Fourth Amendment protections. And we've seen warrantless searches of homes. We've seen increased police brutality and violence against both immigrants documented, regardless of documentation status, and citizens across the country. I think it's very important that Lackawanna County consider the ramifications of this, in my view, pretty heinous policy, especially over the last year, but even before that. And I think you are taking a step in the right direction, and I really look forward to hopefully seeing this bill, or this resolution passed. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
My name is Will Cohen, and I'm a Scranton resident, and I am a faculty member at the University of Scranton. I want to just say a few quick things and then read a brief statement from a mayor in a suburb very close to Minneapolis. The reason ICE was sent to Minneapolis, which was repeated more than once by the president, was in response to a fraud situation that was being prosecuted by federal prosecutors. Once ICE arrived, 3,000 ICE agents arrived and Border Patrol agents arrived in Minneapolis, that prosecution process actually was tremendously undermined and complicated by the fact that the prosecutors had to resign because they were being asked to do things that they could not in conscience do, including investigate loved ones of people who were protesting or even victims of fatal shootings of ICE agents. So we have to be very careful about two things. One is, what is the actual reason ICE is in a place? And people have been saying support ICE, not support ICE. Anything ICE does that's constitutional can be supported. When it's not constitutional, it cannot be supported. And there are many, many unconstitutional acts of ICE and Border Patrol agents that have been documented. The second point before I read the statement is that we're told in Scripture, in all kinds of other contexts, not to lie, not to bear false witness. To say something true about an individual, let's say an individual is guilty of a crime, a murder, a rape, but to not just say that about that individual, but to speak of it as though an entire population is prone to that kind of activity is false witness. And we're seeing a lot of that, and that's justifying for too many people activities that have completely maligned and attacked groups that have been misrepresented by those lies. So we have to be extremely careful about that. This statement is from Jim Hovland. He's the mayor of Edina, Minnesota, and it was shared last week. In these trouble-filled days, the nation should know that Minnesota has not resisted legal immigration enforcement. It has resisted excess. It does not reject law. It rejects lawlessness clothed in authority. It does not deny the nation's right to govern its borders, but it insists that such governance be worthy of and deferential to a free people. These distinctions matter. The future of immigration policy in America will not be shaped by those who merely cheer or condemn, but by those who demonstrate through practice and wisdom that security and humanity can coexist, that enforcement can be both firm and lawful, and that the dignity of persons need not be a casualty in the implementation of policy. Whether the federal government will recognize that cities are not collateral terrain, the trust once broken is far harder to restore than it is to shatter, and that enforcement should be carried out with wisdom and respect for human dignity, regardless of immigration status, remains an open question. Thank you.
Joan Hodawan at Scranton. Are we having fun yet? I'm going to change the subject a bit. A couple of weeks ago, I saw in the paper that Commissioner Gahn was complaining about being muzzled by his fellow commissioners, some kind of change in policy where 2 commissioners had to sign off on any policy. And this is kind of silly. Commissioner gone. At the end of every commissioner's meeting, you have commissioners' other business. Continue using that platform to speak your mind. Okay? I don't always agree with you, but I respect the fact that you're willing to take a stand on controversial issues. That's why I pay taxes, and that's why I pay your salary. I can agree with you or disagree with you. Commissioner Chermak, I've heard you say before with regard to the data centers, you're not for them and you're not against them. Well, you're sitting precisely on the fence. Sooner or later, you're going to have to jump off and take a stand. I wish Commissioner Welby were here, but you can tell him basically the same thing. We pay taxes. We want you to do your due diligence. Don't, try to hide behind which way is the wind going to blow. Whether you agree with Commissioner Gahn or not, at least he has the fortitude and the courage to say, this is how I'm voting and this is why. That's what I want to hear. Then I make the decision whether I will support you or not. I don't want someone who says, well, I'm for it and I'm not for it and I'm not against it. Hey, I could put a 5th grader in there to do that. I don't know if she's still here. Lorene, are you still there? There you are. Lorene Cummings, she's gone? Well, at least when she was commissioner, she did her homework every day, and she would do the same thing. She would say, this is my position, this is why. A lot of people never agree with her, and I was often one of them. But that's what you're expected to do as a commissioner. So, Commissioner Gahn, don't worry about being muzzled. Believe me, anything you say under other commissioners' business will be on talk radio and the TV stations and in the newspaper, and it will be spread around. You don't need to, have the imprimatur as a county commissioner. People will want to hear what you have to say. They may not agree with you, but at least you've taken a stand, and that's why you're being paid. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Madonna Munley, and I am a lifetime resident of Archbold. I came today to address the new Lackawanna County Public Communications Policy implemented by Commissioners Tom Welby and Chris Shermack, requiring at least 2 commissioners to sign off on any statement, publication, or posting issued on behalf of the Board of Commissioners or purporting to represent a position of the county. Based on an article in the Scranton Times-Tribune dated February 13th, 2026, it appears that Commissioners Welby and Shermack are concerned that the people of Lackawanna County would assume that something published with Commissioner Gahan's name was also approved by them. Commissioner Welby is quoted as saying, "I think that one person shouldn't give the impression to the public that his opinion is that of the entire board without an opinion being made by the entire board." I can assure both Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Shermack that no one who is familiar with Lackawanna County politics or reads a newspaper would be under that impression. You have nothing to worry about. I am a part of a group in Archbold that has been working since last spring to protect our borough from the harmful effects of data centers. Archbold now has 6 data center projects with over 50 individual, enormous data center buildings, with a total of over 1,000 backup diesel-fueled generators that will be tested every month. 5 of those data center campuses are located near homes, parks, and school buildings. These 50 buildings will use enormous amounts of water and power and come with concerns about the health of our safety and, the effects of our health, safety, and welfare. The Wildcat Ridge project alone requires 1,600 megawatts of power every day, and that will come from Lake Scranton. That's enough to power 1,160,000 homes. And Wildcat Ridge is again one of 6 data center campuses in Archibald, and not the only one that plans on using water from Lake Scranton. Our group and many others in the county are doing everything in our power to protect our communities and find ways to stop or mediate the devastation we are facing. And we have felt alone in our struggle for a long time. Elected officials have been mostly silent or give a statement that is typical middle-of-the-road political speech. Commissioner Gaughan showed up for us, literally and figuratively. He showed up for us each time he stated plainly in newspaper articles and interviews how he was against data centers in the county. He showed up and spoke at public hearings on our behalf. He showed up when he reached out to us to offer to listen to our concerns and offer any help he can. And then just this morning I read in the paper that he showed up again with the letter that he sent to Governor Shapiro asking for a moratorium on data centers. We know that the county or state cannot override local zoning. But just to know that there is someone listening to us and offering whatever help is available is extremely meaningful to us. So believe me, when Bill Gaughan posts a statement in full support of the people of Archibald or any other community in this county concerning data centers, we all know that he is speaking on his own behalf. Mr. Welby and Mr. Shermack, you can rest easy, knowing that we are not under the impression that those statements reflect your support.
And just real quick to be clear, this isn't a new policy that you're talking about. It's the reestablishment of a former policy.
I would object to that, but we'll get to that later.
Previous council, I think, can attest to that. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Deacon Kat Tigerman, and I live in Madison Township. I serve as the Director for Evangelical Mission for the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, also known as the ELCA. And today I was asked to bring written words from our Bishop, Bishop Christopher DeForest. I write to you as Bishop of the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, and as a faith leader who represents more than 5,000 ELCA Lutherans who live, work, worship, and raise families in Lackawanna County. I'm writing to express my strong support for the proposed Protect Our Neighbors Act and to urge its passage for the good of our community and the moral health of our county. At the heart of the Christian faith is a simple yet demanding commandment from Scripture: you shall love your neighbor as yourself, Mark 12:31. For Christians, this is not a slogan or an abstraction. It is a call to action that shapes how we treat those who live among us, especially the most vulnerable. Immigrants and refugees are not strangers to be feared, but neighbors to be welcomed, protected, and treated with dignity. The Lutheran Church has a long and faithful commitment to supporting immigrants and refugees who seek to enter this country legally and to rebuild their lives in safety. In Northeastern Pennsylvania specifically, Lutheran congregations and agencies have walked alongside newly arrived families for generations, helping with lawful resettlement, housing, employment, language learning, and community integration. These ministries are grounded in our conviction that every person is created in the image of God and worthy of respect. ELCA leaders have spoken clearly about this moment. Our national presiding bishop, Reverend Curry, has reminded the church that our faith calls us to protect human dignity, to stand with immigrants and refugees, and to resist systems that dehumanize our neighbors. He has also spoken of the importance of peaceful, faithful resistance when government actions sow fear in local communities, urging people of faith to bear public witness, grounded in love rather than violence or hatred. The Protect Our Neighbors Act reflects these values by affirming that local resources should not be used to intimidate or endanger immigrant families. This legislation helps ensure that all residents of Lackawanna County can access schools, healthcare, social services, and law enforcement without fear. Such trust is essential for public safety, community stability, and the well-being of every neighborhood. This is not a partisan issue for us as people of faith. It is a moral one. Passing this legislation is a concrete way to keep our neighbors safe and to uphold the values of compassion, justice, and mutual responsibility that strengthen our shared life together. I respectfully urge you to support and pass the Protect Our Neighbors Act In doing so, you will affirm the dignity of all who call Lackawanna County home and help our community live more fully into the best of its values. Thank you for your service and for your careful consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon or good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Moran. I live at 424 Wyoming Avenue. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I live at the Finch Towers. I don't know if the Commissioners are familiar with the Finch Towers. I know Commissioner Welby, I'm sure Commissioner Shermack, and Commissioner Gahan are familiar with the Finch Towers. I live there. I've been living there for 6 years. I'm going on my 6th year living there. We just got our maintenance guy just took it down off the main door. A notice from code enforcement. Whatever code that they haven't abide by or whatever, they're giving us 15 days to be out of that building. Okay, I got no place to go. Okay. My relationship with my parents are not good, okay? We have about 58 apartments in there. Some apartments have couples in there, boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife. And a couple of them are probably maybe vacant. In my apartment, it's just me and my cat. We have no place to go. So my question to you guys is, what are you guys doing to help the residents there, with court enforcement? Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't think the three of us were not aware of that at all, but we will look into this for you.
Good. I'm sorry. Hello, I'm David Bergerhoff. I'm from North Scranton. I really didn't intend on speaking today. I find myself saying that often. And I guess it's because once I get into a room and listen to people speak, it's more my disappointment in us than our ability to get along and simply not want to resolve these issues, but just basically it seems like we want to inflate them. You saw the people booing those they disagreed with, and yet the other side was pretty quiet, and we know there's sides. I'm not going to pretend that. I'm really not picking a side. I want safe neighborhoods like everyone else. As a laborer who's worked all around the United States, I've worked with many illegal immigrants. To be honest with you, as a matter of fact, I have friends who are illegal immigrants, and no, I won't give your name. And you know what? That's what you do. If you don't want to work with ICE, then don't give the names of your neighbors and your friends. Don't oppose them either, though. Let them do their job. Just because we're not working with them doesn't mean we have to work against them. Let's be smart. I brought a whistle today. It's in my pocket here. I was honestly just going to stand outside and whistle like a fool and show you and have a couple of people stand next to me and scream like idiots to show you how difficult it must be to do your job as an ICE agent. It's unfortunate that these things are occurring in this country. And we talk about lawlessness, but what about the lawlessness of leaving a border open for so long that we find ourselves in this situation? Let's talk about accountability. Let's talk about resolutions. Let's talk about good ideas. And we're here, we're quoting the Bible, and I love it. It's great. You could take the Bible out of context many different ways. I won't even get into how the fact the Israeli nation just steamrolled nation after nation with God behind them, because God favored the people at that time, and those other people were sinners. Are we the nation that are now sinners? Is that what we're saying? Maybe God will come down here and resolve this if we can't. The thing about this is my notes are all over the place because I was trying to take notes. We talked about bearing false witness. Well, witnessing would be these people ginning up the rhetoric, making extreme statements, mischaracterizing what's going on. We talked about the small percentage, or so they claim, 15% of possibly millions that are actually violent criminals. That's a scary statistic. We worried about the fears that our neighbors have that might be here illegally, or simply people of, we'll say, color, because it seems to be we're moving in that direction with that argument. What about the small percentage of people actually that were impacted by horrible ICE incidences versus the tens of thousands of law enforcement things that didn't go wrong that you don't hear about? That's a small percentage too. So let's just be honest. Let's argue this from both sides. One thing we don't want to do is create another Minnesota. That's the one thing I think we're all here to discuss, and I think that's why they brought this act up. And I welcome the debate, but I welcome civil debate. Billy Gawhins once said, let's have a civics class. Let's have a civil class. Let's talk to each other, not over each other. Let's listen, not close our minds and already know what we're going to say. That's why I didn't want to be taking these notes. I really wanted to just listen to everyone, but I did listen and I heard. I heard about the fears that people have, and yet we don't seem to fear for our own citizens. They were actually expressing their own fears, and they were laughed at, booed, and jeered. Give me a break. Fears on both sides. Everyone is fearful right now. These are tough times. Let's recognize that. Let's acknowledge that we can work together, and let's resolve these issues instead of continually fighting. I thank everybody for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brenda Johnson. I'm the president of the Lackawanna County NAACP, and I'm also an American, and I'm also a veteran. I'm here because it sounds great if you're supporting the Welcome Our Neighbors Act. I think in America, everyone should be welcomed. I don't believe that people should be afraid to walk down the street. What's so ironic is I put my passport in my purse. You know, I'm carrying it around now because I'm a black woman, and I shouldn't have to do that. You know, I've really been feeling traumatized myself. Actually, I'm considering leaving America. That's how I'm really feeling. But at the same time, if we could do that, and only thing I ask people to do is put yourself in that position. That's all I ask you to do. Put yourself in the position of someone in a uniform, in a mask, no badge or anything, chasing your kids down the street. Put yourself in the position of them knocking on your window. I mean, dragging you out of your car. I had to stop watching it. I couldn't watch it anymore. So I am happy that Lackawanna County is considering that, even considering that. And I would ask you to please not only consider, but vote to support that. The Lackawanna County NAACP, we stand for civil rights for all people, for all people. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And the gentleman that was there, yeah, we do need to look at both sides and not boo each other, because that's what right now has happened. We have to see our government has divided us. We have to see that. And we cannot let them do that. We need to be able to civilly talk and speak to each other without hate, without booing. And I don't agree with a lot of things either, but we need to be able to talk to each other and agree. Thank you so much, or disagree. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. Do we have anyone else?
Hi, my name is Brita Cronin-Holmes. I'm from Dunmore. I just wanted to say really quickly, I understand that there was the post that was put out about potential misinformation regarding whatever vote today. The thing that I just wanted to stress is that there are a lot of people who did want to speak and didn't because they thought that that meant that they couldn't speak. And I think that that actually means that this is the perfect time to speak about it, because we do know that a lot of times the decisions are made prior to the vote on that day. So this would be the perfect time for people to speak on it. So I would ask you to just be careful about that, because I caught somebody leaving when thinking they couldn't speak and then they came back in, or that it wasn't going to be spoken about. I had somebody else come in that said that had I not posted on Facebook that you were still able to use your public comment to speak about these things, they weren't going to come, and they showed up last minute. So I think there are a lot of people. But as for the misinformation, I think that also goes into this sort of narrative that anybody here from Lackawanna County that wants to support the Protect Our Neighbors ordinance, that means that we want open borders, or that we don't believe in documentation, and that we want every Tom, Dick, and Harry to come in here. And that is not at all the case. I think that what people also need to understand is when you look on these comments on like Facebook and all these things, you'll always have these people who will say, who does anybody think they are? The federal government could come in and do anything. But the 10th Amendment also states that they can't commandeer our local resources to do their job. So that's a fact, right? So if you know, all due respect, if Mr. Bowles wants to have Kash Patel come in and, you know, take his office space, go right ahead. That doesn't mean that my tax dollars for Lackawanna County needs to be used to do your bidding. It's just not the way that it operates. I'm paying enough in federal taxes to have these guys going around in masks. And then also with the whistles, right? I have a bag of whistles in my car. I always carried a whistle around because I'm a woman, and I have to teach my daughter that she also needs to carry a whistle. I have a birdie on my keys. I've got tasers in my car because I can't bring them in here. But these are things that we have to worry about. So I also have a huge concern as a mom, right? I'm everybody's worst nightmare, right? I'm the 40-something-year-old mom in the minivan, right? And I'm the domestic terrorist, right? But as a mom, I can't tell you how I have to teach my daughter that she's going to need to carry a whistle. And to make it normal or to somehow normalize that ICE can do their job, and that consists of wearing a mask and being around children. I mean, in Dunmore, I'm saying it again, ICE came, knocked a guy off his bike, and took him and his daughter and deported them when kids are on school buses on the way to school. We cannot normalize that men could take people while they're wearing masks. So yes, I have a bag of whistles in my car. It might not necessarily have anything to do with ICE. It might, but I might have to use it someday, and so might my daughter. So I think that these are things that we need to consider. That's privilege when you don't have to think about that. Okay? So anyways, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Chermak?
One more.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay. Attorney Mike Janetta from Scott Township. How did we get here with this issue of illegal immigration? In 2024, 77 million people voted to close the border, finish the wall, and deport the illegal aliens that were allowed to come into this country under President Biden with a wide open border. We have 10 to 15 million illegal aliens in this country. Many are criminals, and the people voted to have them removed. You know, it's you know, the majority rules in this country, and that's what the American people voted for, and that's what's going on. That's what the American public voted for. I don't want to see Lackawanna County become a sanctuary county. I think that the county, local officials should be working with federal law enforcement. That's how people are kept safe. I don't want to see the commissioners get involved in, you know, political agendas to tell the independent elected district attorney, the sheriff, on how they should do their job. They should be allowed to do their job as they see fit. They should be cooperating with federal officials. This kind of reminds me of the 1960s during the civil rights era and the fight over civil rights when people were against desegregation and they were against blacks having basic civil rights, and they refused to enforce federal law. They were working against the federal government, and President Kennedy had to come in and send the National Guard in to enforce federal law. I think we're much better off cooperating with federal law enforcement officials than working against them and fighting against them and setting up 2 armed camps. People are safer if local police, local law enforcement cooperate with federal law enforcement, and I do not want to see Lackawanna County become a sanctuary county, which is what this ordinance would do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Bonakevich. I'm judge of elections up in East Benton. Ever since I've been coming to these meetings, I've had a target on my back. In 2024, I was sent a clerk. Did not even know it until the morning he came in at 6 o'clock to find out he was a convicted felon. that was arrested in 2019 for aggravating and disordering the voting poll. I had him out of there by sheriffs by 8:45 because he had my group and he had me and he had everybody on edge. So he was belligerent. I had him removed. In May of 25, I had another belligerent person, which I did not do anything for. I just let it go. In November of 25, I had another person come to me. She was out of control, ripping up papers, pulling out my my paperwork and touching my paperwork. She was videotaping me in my polls. She was flipping the finger. She was obnoxious. She was ripping up papers and throwing it at my majority leader. So guess what I did? I had her arrested. And I had her, and she got a disorderly conduct against her. I will not put up with this at my polls. There's a target on my back because I speak out here, and I'm done with that. And it really disgusts me that if I speak here, then somebody here has my name and has me, and they're going to go against me. But guess what? I'm the judge, and I will rule my polls to see how I fit and make sure my people are protected. So this girl had things against her. She got fined, and she has disorderly conduct against her. And it really disgusts me how, like, I can't speak my mind and control my people and hover over my people and protect my people without somebody sending somebody to me to have me degraded. So there you go. I won't put up with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Beth Perry. I live in Clark Summit. And whether or not you support ICE, there are important financial reasons for the county to stay away from assisting them. The assumption that the county will profit through federal reimbursement programs may initially be true. However, these profits will be temporary. Cooperating with ICE imposes significant, often uncompensated burdens on financial governments. These are financial burdens, and they include jail operation costs, personnel overtime, administrative expenses, and legal liability. Local governments that cooperate with ICE can be, and frequently are, held liable for lawsuits stemming from these partnerships. The U.S. Supreme Court precedent requires the database sources be reliable to satisfy the Fourth Amendment's prohibition on unreasonable search and seizure. The federal government has described ICE's databases as inaccurate, incomplete, and error-filled. Counties that choose to honor ICE warrants run a significant risk of liability. I can cite a few examples, and these are just a few. In November, Suffolk County, New York, was ordered to pay $112 million in a lawsuit due to unlawful detentions. A U.S. citizen in Minnesota had ICE force open his door. U.S. citizen. ICE forced open his door and removed him from his home in his underwear after a warrantless search. He could justifiably and probably will sue and win. Similar lawsuits are going to proliferate. The 287G program is a drain on local resources and may well lead to costly lawsuits over civil rights violations. Compliance with ICE is voluntary. Local governments that do not cooperate with ICE are generally not liable for unlawful detention. The bottom line is that immigration enforcement is the job of the federal government, and the county need not involve itself. When localities choose to work with ICE, they expose themselves to the possibility of spending taxpayer dollars due to legal challenges. I implore you, do not collaborate with ICE. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? Commissioner Chermak?
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for taking time and coming today. I also want to especially thank Sergeant Bronson Cass for leading us in the pledge and for serving our country. And thank you to all our veterans that are here today and throughout Lackawanna County. Thank you for your service. And I've made this perfectly clear. I proudly support all our first responders, our local police, our state police, our district attorney, our sheriffs, our deputies, the veterans here, our active duty service members, and our federal law enforcement agencies. I stand firmly for law and order, and my goal is to ensure that our communities remain safe and secure for all of our residents. As your commissioner, I've always believed in putting people before politics, and that's why I'm proud to work alongside our commissioners in a spirit of bipartisanship to deliver real results for our community. We're all facing challenges together. We're looking at ways to stabilize our county's finances and focus on what truly matters to our families, our homes, and our futures. First and foremost, our residents are grappling with the fallout from last year's 33% tax increase, which has put a real strain on hardworking families and our elderly population. Many of you have felt the burden on your monthly bills, and that's why I am prioritizing cutting waste, streamlining operations wherever we can, and focusing on fiscal responsibility to ensure long-term stability. Equally important is the ongoing reassessment, the first in nearly 60 years, which has caused, understandably, confusion and anxiety for many. We've seen appeals from thousands of property owners, and while process aims for fairness, it's led to shifts in tax bills. I've advocated for careful implementation to minimize chaos, including calls to pause and review if needed, because this directly affects your ability to stay in your homes and plan for your future. Our team is committed to supporting residents throughout the appeals and ensuring transparency every step of the way. These are some of the issues we can tackle head on. Immigration policy is definitely a federal matter, and I appreciate everyone's strong opinions. Our solicitors are looking into how to handle potential situations without overstepping into areas beyond our legal control. Data centers, they represent obviously a potential economic growth, jobs, investments in our regions. However, they require thoughtful discussion and planning. We are learning more every day, as are many of our local leaders, to weigh the benefits against concerns like energy use and the community impact. Lackawanna County is stronger when we unite around shared goals, whether it's ensuring hospital access for our residents or investing in public safety and quality of life programs. I am proud of the things we are doing together, and that's the approach I'll continue to champion. Our residents deserve leaders focused on progress, not division and political grandstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gahn?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for everybody for coming out to speak today. There's three things I want to address. The first one is this new public communications policy that some of you may or may not be aware of. I would like to congratulate my colleagues, Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak, on the creation of Lackawanna County's newest initiative, the Department of Pre-Approved Thoughts. Effective immediately, according to Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak, in a policy that was issued this past week, any statement issued on behalf of the board or purporting to represent a position of the county must be approved in advance by at least 2 commissioners. 2, which is fascinating because that is also the exact number required to overrule the third. What an extraordinary coincidence. Now, I have been told this is about clarity. That's what Commissioner Welby told the press, about preventing the public from thinking that one commissioner speaks for the entire board. Let me clear that up immediately. When I sit up here and speak, I speak for myself. I do not speak for Commissioner Welby. I do not speak for Commissioner Chermak. I do not speak for the copier machine on the 6th floor. I am the minority commissioner. The public understands this. They are adults. We've had this form of government since 1878. Apparently, though, due to this new policy that they've been working on, there is grave concern that someone out there believes Lackawanna County operates as a hive mind, 3 commissioners sharing one single thought bubble. Here's a spoiler alert for my friends to my left. We do not. Now let's talk about what actually happened. A clip of the remarks that I made within the last month at a public commissioners meeting about ICE and about data centers went viral. Over 100,000 views between the 2 of them. Over 1,300 people commented. Hundreds of people shared both of those clips. Some agreed with what I said, some disagreed with what I said. In other words, people watched. And instead of my colleagues saying, wow, that's great, civic engagement, people are paying attention. Look at all the people that have showed up at the last 2 commissioner meetings. The reaction from Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak was, quick, we better install a filter. We are assured by Commissioner Welby that this policy is simply about fairness, which is interesting because every commissioner already has equal time at meetings, equal access to introduce legislation, equal ability to speak. This new policy does not create equality. It creates supervision. It says that if something purports to represent a position of the county, it needs majority approval. I love that phrase, purports to represent. Purports. That's a wonderfully flexible word. It's like elastic. You can stretch it over anything that you don't like. A clip of a public meeting posted to the county's social media pages, purports. A quote in a press story, purports. A strongly worded sentence, definitely purports. Before long, we'll need a flow chart up on the 6th floor. Does Mr. Gahan's thought contain verbs? Yes. Better run it by the full board. And then we're told by Commissioner Welby, my personal favorite, that this, and he just referenced it before, is a return to how things were done in prior administrations. A return? I've spent the last 2 years fixing the structural deficits, financial mismanagement, and credibility issues of the prior administration. And now the gold standard by Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak is, let's go back. Let's go back to the way things used to be. That's like renovating a house after a flood and then saying, you know what this place needs? More water. No. I was elected to improve the culture here, not to resurrect it. And let's examine the solution that's been offered. If I want something I've said at a public board meeting, post it on social media pages, I can sit down with my fellow commissioners. Perhaps they will approve it as is, or with slight changes, or with a little header explaining that it's my personal commentary, which, by the way, the clips that were posted clearly stated that it was me who was saying it. How generous. So let me understand this process. Step 1, I say something at a public meeting. Step 2, maybe it resonates with the public, both positive and negative. Step 3, I have to bring it to Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak for edits. Step 4, maybe they soften it, polish it, and round off the edges until it no longer alarms anyone. Step 5, it's finally approved. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not communication. This is pasteurization. Public service is not supposed to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be pre-approved vanilla pudding. Sometimes it's supposed to have edges. And here's the irony. The clips that went viral were not official proclamations. They were literally snippets of what I said at a public meeting, meetings that we live stream. We record the entire thing. We archive it. We make it available to the public. But heaven forbid we extract a 3-minute clip from that same recording and put it on social media so that people can actually see it. And by the way, it is 2026, and people now go on social media for their news. If the concern is confusion, there's a radical, cutting-edge solution. Just put a label on it. Remarks of Commissioner Gaughan. Problem solved. Instead, my colleagues have adopted what is essentially a 2-signature rule for speech. When speech is popular, you don't tighten policy because it's unclear. You tighten policy because it's effective. Democracy is noisy, it's messy, and it involves disagreement. It does not involve asking for permission before you express a viewpoint. Majority rule applies to budgets. It applies to legislation. It does not apply to conscience, and I will not pretend that it does. If my colleagues disagree with my views, they're welcome to say so. Post your own clips. Make your own statement. Disagree publicly. That's what grown-up governance looks like. But creating a 2-person approval board for speech and calling it a return to prior practice, that's not leadership. That's nostalgia for a time when fewer people were paying attention. And by the way, over the last 10 years, not enough people were paying attention. That's why there was a double-digit tax increase. That's why was all this financial mismanagement. And that's why we are in the position that we are in today. Well, clearly from the last 2 meetings, people are paying attention now. And I intend to keep speaking clearly, directly, and without submitting my thoughts to Commissioner Welby and Commissioner Chermak for inspection like a middle school essay. The voters did not elect me to sit up here and whisper, or like Commissioner Chermak, play Switzerland. I'm not for it, I'm not against it. They did not elect me to seek permission, and they certainly did not elect me to participate in a group editing session every time a sentence that is spoken up here gets some traction. So I say this respectfully to my colleagues. If something that I say resonates with the public, the solution is not to lower the volume. The solution is to join the conversation, and I would ask them to rescind that policy immediately. The second thing I would like to discuss is the ICE legislation, because there has been a lot of information about what it does and does not do. I stand fully behind this legislation. And as I sat up here this morning and listened to all of you speak, I thought of a book that I just got done reading. It's called In the Garden of the Beast. It's by Eric Larson. And the book is about the ambassador to Germany from the United States. His name was William Dodd. President Roosevelt plucked him out of obscurity in 1933 to serve as the ambassador to Germany when Hitler took over. And I'm not making this comparison lightly. And William Dodd got to Germany, he saw what was going on, and he said, wow, we're headed towards World War. They're snatching people off the streets. They're trampling over people's civil liberties. They're literally throwing their political opponents in prison. They're attacking Jews. And he sent many, many letters, which are in this book that I read, to President Roosevelt and to members of the State Department. And their reaction was, let's not worry about it. Hitler's only saying that. He's not actually going to do it. And just let it go. Try to work with him, appease him. We all saw how that ended up. And in my opinion, let me state clearly for my colleagues, in my opinion, we are headed down the road of fascism and authoritarianism. When you have masked agents who are equipped like they're going to invade a third world country, snatching people off the streets who are not illegal immigrants, they're American citizens. And I love to listen to people get up here today and talk about illegal immigrants, and we should all be so scared. You should be scared of the criminals that are in the White House and in Congress. You should be afraid of the pedophile that's in the White House. There are no pedophiles that we're worried about in terms of illegal immigration. So, this legislation, let me briefly explain again what it does. It sets a county policy for county employees. It tells county staff what they are allowed to do and what they are not required to do when ICE contacts them. A gentleman got up before and said he believed that this is all because of what happened in Minneapolis, and that definitely played a small part in it. But where this really originated was in a conversation that I just happened to be a part of when our 911 director had stated that an ICE agent reached out to him informally to find out some information about somebody. What does that lead you to believe? We're not Minneapolis, we're Lackawanna County. But what prevents what's happening there from happening here? When ICE agents start sniffing around a little bit, what does that say about civil liberties, about the Fourth Amendment, about the Bill of Rights? Whether they're illegal or whether they're legal, they are still human beings. And this isn't about Democrat or Republican. It's not about left or right. It's not about liberal or conservative. This is about things that we're all taught, hopefully, when we're very, very young. The difference between right and wrong. Basic human decency. This legislation protects due process. It generally requires proper legal paperwork, like a judge-signed warrant or a valid court order, before county staff takes actions that would restrict somebody's freedom. It draws a bright line between helping and obstructing. County staff can still do their jobs, but they're not deputized as ICE agents. It creates consistent rules so nobody freelances. Instead of backroom phone calls, as I just explained, and confusion. It sets one standard, so every department handles ICE requests the same way. Here's what it does not do, because you will hear a lot of people in the next few weeks, and I hope to God that this actually makes it on the agenda so we can vote on it. But you will hear people say that it bans ICE from Lackawanna County. It does not ban ICE from Lackawanna County. ICE is federal. Some of the people that get up here apparently think that those of us in the audience don't know how American government works. We do know. I think they need to take a look at the Constitution. The county cannot kick ICE out, and that's not what this legislation is calling for. It does not stop ICE from enforcing federal law. It simply says county employees won't do ICE's job for them without proper legal authority. God forbid we ask for a warrant and ask to make sure that it's legal. It does not protect people who have criminal warrants. That's the other thing that you will hear people say is the gentleman get up and try to scare the hell out of everybody. Like when you walk down the street in Lackawanna County, you're looking over your shoulder to make sure there's not some scary immigrant that's going to rob you. Again, it's a scare tactic. And I feel, as I sat up here today for some of the speakers, I disagree with them, but I feel bad for them because they've been convinced by Fox News and by President Trump and by all these other right-wing nuts that we should be afraid of immigrants. Just like back during the Know Nothing Party in the 1800s, be afraid of the Irish, be afraid of the Japanese, be afraid of the Chinese. Anybody who looks different or sounds different, we should be afraid of them. No, we should be afraid of our rights as American citizens just being completely trampled over. Because by the time everybody wakes the hell up in this country, I'm afraid it might be too late. I don't think it's too late yet, but if we don't wake up and do something, it's going to be too late. It does not, or if a judge issues a criminal warrant, law enforcement follows it, period. So that blows that stupid argument out of the water. It does not require anyone to hide information or lie. It sets a lawful, consistent process for what county staff can share and when. I will remind everyone that county government is like a big social service agency. We take care of people who need help, whether it's the Area Agency on Aging or the Office of Youth and Family Services. We get people in here who sometimes need a lot of help, just like the gentleman that got up and talked about the housing that was going to get taken away from him. We'll reach out to him because we have a housing coordinator in Lackawanna County who can hopefully hook him up with the right people, and we can help those people. Immigrants are afraid to come in this building to get services because they're afraid they're going to get snatched off the street, or they're afraid that ICE agents will be patrolling outside or whatever they're going to do and will take them because they're just coming here to get services. There will be some who say, I've never seen that happen in the county building. I've never seen that happen before. Well, it happened in Minneapolis. It's happening in other places in the country. And what would prevent President Trump from saying Lackawanna County is a blue county in the state of Pennsylvania? Let's flood it with ICE. Well, we should be prepared if he intends to do that. It does not change immigration law. It's a local policy about county cooperation and civil liberties. It's not a rewrite of federal law. So, the legislation that I put forward, I believe, is measured. I believe it's lawful, and I believe that it's grounded in existing precedent. It does not obstruct federal law enforcement. Nobody is saying that we should not work with people who are in law enforcement. But you tell me, if you saw a masked agent coming at you with no identification on them, what you would do, whether you are white or black or Hispanic or Latino. There was a clip in New Jersey that broke my heart. A bunch of kids they caught it on a Ring camera. ICE was doing some kind of enforcement. You saw 30 or 40 grade school children running the other way, screaming, ICE, ICE, ICE is here. That's what we're doing. We're traumatizing people. And yes, we are commissioners. We can't solve all the world's problems, but we can make a difference with this legislation. So this legislation simply ensures that our county government operates within its legal authority and protects the civil liberties of our residents. I understand that, excuse me, the solicitor's office is still reviewing the proposal, and I respect the need for legal analysis. But I would hope that they will provide us with an update before the next commissioners meeting on where that review stands, what specific legal questions remain, and what's the anticipated timeline for completion, and when we can or if we can expect this legislation to be placed on a public agenda. And the last thing I just wanted to discuss very briefly is the data centers. As I've said at previous commissioner meetings, I have been at these public hearings, as Mrs. Munley got up and talked so eloquently about, at Valley View High School and in Dixon City and in other parts of the county. There are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who are lining the hallways, who are spending 3 to 4 hours at these public meetings. It's not because they don't know what's going on. I sat and watched this ignorant, arrogant, data center developer, who, by the way, wore a turtleneck, which for some reason annoyed me in the worst way. But he had this turtleneck, and he was the most ignorant, arrogant person I had ever seen speak, and a woman got up in Archibald and was asking this man questions, and his response was, well, don't you use Google? Don't you use Google? So let's eviscerate all of the hundreds and thousands of acres of land in Lackawanna County so we can use Google, so we can help this guy make $1 billion. But let's not pump the brakes and make sure we regulate the industry and take a look at what's happening in Georgia, in Maryland, in Kentucky, where in Georgia people are turning on their water faucet, there's no water coming out. Mrs. Munley pointed out 3 million gallons of water a day one of these data centers is going to use. One data center is like powering a mid-sized United States city. But God forbid we ask those who are in power to pump the brakes. We know, and I've mentioned this before, we know what's happened in this region with the coal mining industry. Were we to stop and believe the coal barons, don't worry, just buy from the company's store, go into the coal mine, make sure the canary's alive, everything will be fine. We made that mistake. We made it 150 years ago. And it took us decades and decades and decades to come out from underneath it, and we're still see the effects of that. I don't want us to make the same mistake. That's why I sent a letter to Governor Josh Shapiro and all of our state legislators, our local delegation. There's a Senator, Katie Muth, who circulated a memo asking for a 3-year moratorium. I'm calling for a 3-year moratorium. Let's pump the brakes on this. We shouldn't be concerned in Lackawanna County about making sure somebody else gets rich off the backs of our people. We have a dump in Dunmore that's eventually, by the time my kids are able to drive, going to be the size of the Empire State Building. We have a dump in Taylor. We have a power plant, one of the biggest power plants in North America, in Jessup. When are we going to stop taking everybody else's trash? When are we going to stop letting developers and speculators come in here? Letting developers and speculators come in here and say, don't worry about it. We'll throw you a couple $1 million, by the way, which everybody could use, but they flash this big shiny object at us. We'll buy you a fire truck, maybe we'll buy you a police truck, we'll fit up your police and fire departments with something, and let us just destroy the land and the water and the air. That's not right. And that's why I've been to these meetings to speak out. It's not it's not a political issue. It's not Democrat or Republican. When I sat in that audience in Dixon City, I had people come up to me and say, I hate what you said about ICE, but I agree with you on data centers. This defies political boundaries. This is our county that we must do everything in our power to protect and to defend. And at the position I sit in, I have the bully pulpit, we all do. We should be speaking out to protect these people. The one thing that we have in this county, and that I bought a home in 2021 for the first time, the one thing we value and cherish more than anything else is our property, it's our home. And that's what why people are speaking out in Archibald and Dixon City and Covington and all over the county. And I hopefully, thank you, and hopefully if my colleagues agree, if they review what I just said and they look it over and sanitize it or do whatever else they want with it, we can post what I just said on social media so that people can actually view what I said. But we'll need their approval first before we can do that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
To be clear, we're not a newspaper, we're not a news station. We're a county that provides services, and regarding Commissioner Gaughan's comments about his posts that have been that he's made, and they are positions that he holds, and whether or not we agree, they are positions that he holds, and the policy that we reinstituted isn't a new policy. It's the policy of previous administrations, and it's back in effect. And in fact, he asked late yesterday afternoon if we would post a position that he has on one of the topics that he spoke about.
The letter to the governor.
Excuse
is
me.
What I asked for.
Excuse me.
Well, just
do you understand
speak factually.
our Robert's Rules of Orders? Maybe we can have our solicitor explain it to him. Someone has the floor. They have the floor. We respected you when you were saying yours, and we expect the same from you. But his request to post a comment was approved, and we agree that it was okay to post that comment, and it's the same procedure that existed in previous administrations. Now, regarding some of the other things that Commissioner Gaughan has gone on about, some of it baffles me, and it's and some of it I absolutely agree with. When before the election, I made very clear my position on data centers, and I've repeated it multiple times. I guess I have to repeat it a couple times a day. I am not in favor of data centers anywhere near neighborhoods, and I'm not in favor of issues that would compromise our energy or our water. The thoughts of a data center using 3 million gallons a day from Lake Scranton is ludicrous, and I'm not in support of that. We don't know all of the technology that exists with data centers, and if it can be found that data centers aren't going to use a huge amount of electricity or water consumption, and can be located in positions, as an example, along the Casey highways. You're going up towards Carbondale on the right-hand side, set back there. If they met the other restrictions that we insist upon, and that is control of the energy usage and control of water usage. And as far as the ICE issue goes, I mean, I think I made it pretty clear in my comments in the meeting, our last meeting, my position regarding the actions of some of these ICE agents. It's reprehensible what happened, and we all have worked in situations where you have bad apples within your organization, and I don't know what their percentage of bad apples is, but they clearly have bad apples, but they also are apprehending illegal immigrants, and we are going to make I believe, decision on this based on appropriate information and input that we get from people that are important to provide that information, and hopefully for the next meeting we will have an answer for you on that. And I also worry about, and Commissioner Gahan somewhat alluded to it, I worry about the issues that we have with ICE. I think that ICE can do. I worry about waving a flag that we're a sanctuary area to an administration that is as unpredictable can be, and waving a flag that here the hometown of Joe Biden could be considered a sanctuary city, and have him react in a frightening way. When I was a lot younger, sometimes I was reminded, sometimes it's best to keep your mouth shut, your head down. But I am concerned about the actions of ICE, and I think if they're needed anywhere, they're needed in California, in Texas, and in Florida, where the huge majority of illegal immigrants reside, and also they are the three states in which we have the largest amount of drugs being smuggled into our country. If ICE belongs anywhere, I believe it's in Texas, California, and Florida, not in northeastern Pennsylvania, but we'll make a decision on that hopefully by the next meeting. I'm also somewhat concerned about what sometimes seems like deflection by Commissioner Gahan. We have important issues. When he talks about family and home, we have important issues that we need to address right now, every single day, and focus on. And that is whether or not some of our residents are going to be able to stay in their homes and support their families. We had a 33% tax increase, that seemed to be more focused on the ease of raising taxes as opposed to cutting expenses. I think we have to focus on cutting our expenses and looking for new ways to raise revenue. It just kind of sickens me. And now we have issues with a reassessment that had to be done. It had to be done. 58 years, it's just ridiculous that much time had passed by. And I understand why it took that long. We were forced to do it by court action, not by the decisions of any county commissioners, including Commissioner Gahan. He didn't force this on us. He was forced to do it by a court order. And it's a shame that it took that. But any county commissioner that previously would have voted for a reassessment would not have been reelected next time out. And that's what has caused that to happen. And what we need to happen is action by our state legislature to mandate in some way that if a reassessment isn't conducted with a certain period of time, whether it's 10 or 15 or 20 years, then legislation would mandate a reassessment in that community at that time. Because going forward, it might be another 58 years without that legislation before it gets passed by commissioners once again. We had asked for a pause in the enactment of the reassessment, and there was expressed concerns that it would cost us millions of dollars if we dared to do that. But based on the errors that were made in that reassessment that were clear last year during the reassessment, there is not a single judge, in my opinion, not a single judge in the world that would have said no to a pause in the reassessment. We had areas of $100 million in a reassessment for a local mall. We have a friend of mine, a Vietnam veteran that many of you know. His assessment for his home on Locust Street I helped him get it lowered a few years ago. I didn't know what I was doing, but we succeeded. I succeeded in getting his reassessment lowered from $26,000 or $28,000 down to $18,000. His reassessment for his home on Locust Street in West Scranton that was $18,000 is now $459,000. You tell me there's something, not an error in that? We have a farm that a family friend has. They actually have they participate in the farmers market. They're friends of many of you. An 8-acre farm that was estimated, the assessment was given at some ridiculous amount of money. He went in and appealed it and asked how they came to that kind of assessment. And they said, well, it's a rural area, so we took the reassessment information from aerial photography. It's a cliff, an absolute cliff. They changed it, but we have all those errors. Now with the people getting their tax bills and seeing what it's going to be, we're going to be flooded with reassessment appeals, and appropriately so. But there's complications to it. Number one, all the revenue, the tax anticipated revenue that we expect is based on what those assessments would have provided in tax revenue. Clearly, we are not going to be getting that revenue that our budget is calling for this year or next year as a result of all of the errors that were made in these assessments. I can assure you that the county commissioners and now the reassessment office, or the assessor's office, is going to be focusing, laser focused, on helping people to understand what their reassessment is and help them to understand how to appeal it. We're going to make that clear with a little video that we're going to produce, and also with a mailer that we're going to put out to make it clear to people how they can appeal their reassessment. And also, we have to make up $1 million in true tax revenue that we were getting from Mercy and Moses Taylor Hospital. I still call it Mercy. And that's $1 million that we also have to provide for. We have to focus on increasing our revenue, correcting the errors that have been made, and focus on reducing our costs, not just raising taxes because it's easier. I have some real issues with that, and I've taken it upon myself for several years. I was focused on what I think should be right and just taxation of some property, including property that is listed as tax exempt that is used for commercial enterprise, whether it's an entire piece of property or a portion of that property. I don't think it's appropriate that a piece of tax exempt property has a business or entity within it that is a commercial entity that first isn't paying taxes, and secondly is in competition with retail businesses or businesses that are paying their taxes. And also, I believe there are properties that are listed as tax exempt that shouldn't be. And I found one after many years of looking. It's a property, actually it's 3 properties in Scranton that are owned by a 501c3. 3 properties that are tax exempt. Well, I've been looking and looking and looking, and have found that this tax exempt entity, I'm going to say it, they're called Milk Saving Starving Children, and they're listed as tax exempt. Well, I've found in my studies that their tax exempt status was revoked by the IRS in 2017. Revoked by the IRS since 2017. They have not held tax exempt status. I went to our assessor's office. They said they didn't know that. They have appealed it, and the United States Tax Court has upheld that revocation. There's, I believe, others out there that are enjoying a tax exempt status, and I think we should focus on doing what's right, and that is having people pay their fair taxes. There's a lot of other things that have me worked up, and I apologize for that. Hopefully in the future we can work together on a lot more things. I know Commissioner Gaughan calls himself the minority commissioner. I don't understand that. I know that with his not getting his rubber stamp as his county commissioner that he campaigned so hard for, that he has a real challenge, a real difficulty dealing with it. I did choose as my nominee for vice chair, Commissioner Chermak, and that was hoping that we could have a situation where both sides could work together And I'd like to see that in our state legislature and federal government as well. And that's the intention. And he did vote against it, and I understand his voting against that. But also, the only other thing I think that we disagreed on, and I don't know why I'm considered a Republican, the only other thing that we disagreed on a vote was every other year the chair of the airport authority switches from Lackawanna County to Luzerne County, Lackawanna County to Luzerne County. And last year was Luzerne County had the chair. This year, Lackawanna County had the chair. And we got to pick one of the three of us to be chair of the airport authority. I nominated Commissioner Chermak to be that chair. Commissioner Gaughan voted against it. I know that I'm not qualified to be chair of the airport board. Now, maybe Commissioner Chermak thinks that he's qualified to be the chair of the airport board. That may be, and he may very well be. He may very well be the perhaps the best candidate for it. But what I do know is that Commissioner Chermak is a pilot, that flies in and out of that airport. I do think of the three of us, Commissioner Chermak is the choice for that, yet Commissioner Gaughan doesn't agree with that. They're the only two things that I think that I voted with Commissioner Chermak, in which I didn't vote with Commissioner Gaughan. Now, I understand that he does enjoy deflection, and I see that in our federal government too, where I see that. But I hope that moving forward we can work together the way it was intended to be, and why I originally ran for this office, for the three of us to work together and put away the acrimony that was exhibited from the time that Commissioner McGloin resigned. I hope that we can get to what I wanted to see in the goal of being a commissioner, and hope that the three of us can work together on issues in the future.
Commissioner
Motion to
Welby,
adjourn?
I just have one
Second.
thing I wanted to add. One thing I wanted to add, please. Thank you.
Motion to, excuse me.
That's totally inappropriate. One thing I'd like to add. Commissioner,
Meeting is adjourned.
well, there's people still in the audience. Commissioner, oh God, this is like Russia. Commissioner Welby just took a couple drive-by shots that I'd like to respond to. In terms of me being a rubber stamp or wanting a rubber stamp, this is from the same gentleman who took a $100,000 big fat check from Marty Flynn to run for office. So there's no rubber stamp here. That's number one. Number two, he just spoke about deflection, that somehow I'm deflecting. Everybody knows I had to raise taxes 33% because of the incompetence of the last administration. There was $38 million in unpaid bills, or $38 million deficit, $19 million in unpaid bills. So Commissioner Welby, who's now kibitzing in the back, can talk all he wants about deflection, but the fact of the matter is there's nobody that's more of a rubber stamp. He took $100,000 from Marty Flynn. Marty Flynn sticks his hands up the backside in the morning, and he's the puppet, tells him what to do, and he does the same thing with Chris Chermak. Thank you.